The humid air of a Staten Island afternoon hung heavy over Bay Street, but the tension on the sidewalk was thicker than the summer heat. A 43-year-old father of 6 stood his ground, weary of the constant harassment that had become a routine part of his existence. He wasn't a man of violence. In fact, he had just spent his final moments of peace, breaking up a fight to keep the neighborhood calm. But as the flashing lights of the NYPD pulled to the curb, a simple accusation over untaxed cigarettes was about to escalate into a confrontation that would be heard around the world. The camera lens of a friend began to roll, capturing a struggle that would end in a tragedy so profound it would ignite a national movement and leave a family shattered in its wake. Before we dive deeper into this tragic chapter of our history, please remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime. Your support helps us continue to bring these important stories to light and honor the memories of those lost. Now, let's carry on with the story of a day that changed American policing forever. Eric Garner was a man known to many in the Tompkinsville neighborhood as a gentle giant. Standing 6'3" and weighing over 300 pounds, his physical presence was imposing, but his nature was widely described as kind and helpful. A former horticulturalist for the New York City Parks Department, he had been forced into early retirement due to health issues, including asthma and diabetes. On this particular Thursday, July 17, 2014, Eric was just trying to get through the day, spending time near a local beauty salon where he was a familiar face. He was a man who loved his family deeply, often talking about his 6 children and his hopes for their future, never imagining that a sidewalk encounter would be his last. The confrontation began when Officers Justin D'Amico and Daniel Pantaleo approached Garner in front of a convenience store. They accused him of selling Lucy's, single untaxed cigarettes, a minor offense that Garner vehemently denied. "I'm minding my business," he told the officers, his voice laced with frustration and exhaustion. He explained that he had just broken up a fight and didn't understand why he was being targeted yet again. "Every time you see me, you want to mess with me. I'm tired of it. It stops today." His words were a plea for dignity, a demand to be left in peace, but the officers were not there to listen. They were there to make an arrest. As the officers moved in to handcuff him, Garner pulled his arms away, a reflex of a man who felt unjustly cornered. It was in this moment that Officer Pantaleo reached from behind and wrapped his arm around Garner's neck, pulling him to the ground in a prohibited chokehold. The move was a direct violation of NYPD policy, which had banned the use of chokeholds for over 2 decades. As Garner was forced onto the concrete, his face pressed against the sidewalk, the weight of multiple officers bore down on his chest. It was then that he began to utter the words that would haunt the conscience of a nation. "I can't breathe." He gasped the phrase 11 times, his voice growing weaker with each repetition, yet the grip did not loosen. The video recorded by Garner's friend, Ramsey Orta, captured the harrowing minutes that followed. Even after Garner went limp and lost consciousness, no immediate medical aid was rendered by the officers on the scene. When the ambulance finally arrived, the emergency medical technicians did not perform CPR or provide oxygen, appearing to underestimate the severity of the situation. Garner remained motionless on the sidewalk, a tragic figure surrounded by the very people sworn to protect and serve. He was eventually transported to Richmond University Medical Center, but it was too late. The man who had started his day breaking up a fight was pronounced dead, leaving behind a legacy of pain and a city on the brink of an uprising. The medical examiner's report later confirmed what the world had seen on video. Eric Garner's death was a homicide. The cause of death was compression of neck, chokehold, compression of chest, and prone positioning during physical restraint by police. His underlying health conditions, including asthma and heart disease, were contributing factors, but the physical force used against him was the primary cause. The news sent shockwaves through New York and beyond as the "I Can't Breathe" video went viral. Protests erupted across the country, with thousands of people taking to the streets to demand justice for a man whose life was taken over the alleged sale of a few cigarettes. Justice, however, proved to be an elusive goal for the Garner family. In December 2014, a Richmond County grand jury declined to indict Officer Daniel Pantaleo, a decision that sparked even larger protests and a federal civil rights investigation. For years, the case hung in a state of legal limbo, with the Garner family fighting tirelessly for accountability. Eric's mother, Gwen Carr, and his daughter, Erica Garner, became powerful voices in the movement against police brutality, turning their private grief into a public crusade for change. Erica, in particular, became a symbol of the struggle, leading marches and demanding that her father's name never be forgotten until her own untimely death in 2017. It wasn't until 5 years after the incident, in August 2019, that some semblance of administrative accountability was reached. Following a departmental trial, NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill made the difficult decision to fire Daniel Pantaleo from the force. O'Neill acknowledged that the chokehold was a violation of department rules, and that Garner's death was a tragedy that should have been avoided. While the firing provided a small measure of closure, it did not result in criminal charges, leaving many to feel that true justice had been denied. The Garner family eventually settled a wrongful death lawsuit with the city for $5.9 million. But as Gwen Carr often said, no amount of money could ever bring her son back. Today, the legacy of Eric Garner lives on in the laws and hearts of those who continue to fight for systemic reform. In 2020, New York State passed the Eric Garner Anti-Chokehold Act, making the use of a chokehold by a police officer a felony. His final words, "I can't breathe," remain a rallying cry for the Black Lives Matter movement, a stark reminder of the fragile line between life and death in encounters with law enforcement. The sidewalk on Bay Street is now a place of pilgrimage, a site where people gather to remember a man who wanted nothing more than to be left in peace. Eric Garner's story is a permanent entry in the calendar of crime, a somber reminder of the work that remains to be done in the pursuit of equality and justice for all. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the Calendar of Crime.